Google knows more about you than you know about you. Every website you've ever visited, it's got the audio on your mic. It's constantly it's listening to this podcast right now. They've got at least 1,700 data points on every single individual. Yeah, data is the new oil. And you know what the golden rule is, right? He who has the gold makes the rules. We live in a capitalistic society. The ones that have the most money are the ones that are in charge. So if you sit here and you think that the government runs the United States, you're sorely mistaken.
All right, what's up, man? We got Nick Perry in studio. Second time, earliest podcast we've both ever done. It's like 4 a.m. right now?
Just about. It feels like it. Yeah. Sun's just barely coming up.
Yeah, it hasn't come up yet. It's we're in Kansas City. Thanks for coming out. You're speaking at our event. This is our second podcast together. I always like to do them live. They're way better live. You've had just a whirlwind last 60 days, man. Like just fucking crazy last 60 days. Tell me what's been going on, what you're doing. It's like you're getting ready to just shut it down for a little bit, huh?
I am, yeah. So I'm on a world tour right now. I just finished hitting Australia and Asia. I started in Sydney and spent a month traveling through Asia all the way up through Japan. And now I'm in the United States touring a bunch of cities, getting as much work travel as I can done. So I'm doing about a month and a half of travel right now. And then shutting it down because I've got a baby on the way, first baby. So I got a daughter coming in August.
Crazy.
And I'll take some time off and then recharge and back at it again.
Yeah, says you. Yeah, it's different, man. Once those babies come, the whole have people been telling you this?
They have, but everybody's like, listen, I can't explain it to you. You're just gonna have to go through it yourself.
That's exactly what people said to me. I don't think it slowed me down for the first couple of years because I was like, baby's got this. You know, I can figure the diaper change just like racking a burger or something like that. Right. You know, but when they get a little bit older, then it's really weird, like coming from, I know you're kind of like a lone wolf a lot of times like me, you just go out there, get it done, and then coming back and having a family. This is literally the time that I've traveled the least in my life. I've probably been on planes twice a month for the past 15, 20 years, at least, minimum, and I haven't been on a plane probably in like 2 months.
Good for you. Yeah. I'm trying to be like you, Troy. I'm looking to slow it down a little bit, but everything I do is building, right? So it's not like I'm just taking a lot of leisure travel. I'm here building a brand with you. Next week I'll be, with my team in Austin. We're starting new business ventures. So it's a lot of fun. I love it. I love, the process. I love building. Nothing will make you happier than progress in your life. I think a lot of people think like, hey, when I get to the end of the road, that's when I'm going to be happy. When I have the millions of dollars and I have the skyscraper, but it's truly the building and the process that, gives you the real fulfillment.
Yeah, I think that's so true is like people are always trying to find happiness. It's like, what is happiness? And I think happiness is the pursuit of happiness, right? Like from the book, Will Smith, it's like, I know you believe a lot in self-development, but like, we were all little kids and we were told like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like, well, I just wanted to be rich. Because if you grow up poor.
Which I did.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
And all I wanted to do was be rich. So, I lived in a middle-class neighborhood with my mom and my stepdad till I was 13. Mm-hmm. My stepdad was in the CIA, so I grew up in a strict CIA household.
Oh, that's crazy.
And, we lived in a, cookie cutter, suburban neighborhood. And then when I was 13, my mom couldn't handle me anymore. I was a pain in the ass.
Really?
So she sent me to go live with my dad.
Okay.
And my dad, he was just, struggling to make ends meet. He was a landscaper. Mm-hmm. And so he lived in a $650 a month, 1-bedroom apartment in like the worst part of town.
What city is this?
This was in Virginia. It was in Leesburg, Virginia, which is a suburban part of town, but we just happened to live in like the worst part, right? Yeah. So there was gated communities in this town, and then there was like, like Section 8 government housing, and like we were like worse than the Section 8 government housing.
Oh, really?
Because that's all he could afford. Like this is like the, cheapest rents you could get, and he, just did what he could. He didn't, come from money. He just thought this is what you're supposed to do. So we struggled. I lived in with him on the couch, and he slept in the bedroom, and it was probably a 1950s apartment complex. It smelled like gas and mold and cockroaches, and that's where I got my beginnings. And I realized, nobody's coming to save me.
Yeah.
Like my dad he could only provide so much. Like he would go grocery shopping once every 2 weeks, and then if we ran out of food, you gotta wait until next payday to go. So I was like, well, I better get a job. So I started working when I was 14. I've been working ever since because I got pissed off that I couldn't afford things. When my friends would invite me to the movies, when expenses came up, field trips, I was not able to do those things, and that used to infuriate me. Yeah. Especially when I would go, try to grab something to eat, and I'd open up the refrigerator, and there would be a Brita water filter and a pretty much empty bottle of mustard. That would be the contents of the refrigerator.
A lot of top ramen in that house.
That was it. Yeah. So a lot of top ramen, and that really was the start of that entrepreneurial switch that came on. Also, I was a big rebel in terms of I was always in trouble. My mom couldn't handle me. She kicked me out. The teachers couldn't handle me. They kicked me out of school, put me in alternative school,
Talk to me about that because, I got to the point, I think, in middle school where I got 1.8 GPA, and my dad and my mom, they were divorced, and they're sitting down talking to me hey, man, we're going to hold you back. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why? You know what I mean?
Right.
I just didn't try, you know what I mean? So got him, convinced him to keep going, but... I was a troubled kid too, getting in a lot of trouble, running with the wrong kids, throwing applesauce at the bus, you know what I mean? Trying to just causing trouble, smashing pumpkins, anything you could do, throwing rocks at cars, what I mean? You name it, we did it. And, I think, you're searching for something, you don't know what it is, but I can tell you the thing, that chip on your shoulder that you probably got just like me, it doesn't go away.
No.
No matter how much money you make.
No, but that's the rocket fuel that will carry you through any situation. For me, I was always in the position where I could not stand being told what to do.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's common amongst a lot of successful entrepreneurs.
100%.
Is we want to be the one to call the shots. We want to be the one to paint what our future is, and we don't want to have anybody put limitations on us.
Yeah, for sure.
So I had a really hard time, in a structured school environment. I stopped going to school when I was in 10th grade. Okay. They kicked me out to an alternative school. At the same time, I was working. So I was working in a cell phone store slinging cell phones, and I was actually doing pretty well in there. So they promoted me to store manager.
So you had hustle.
Oh yeah, I had hustle.
Yeah.
But forget, I was wild.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm staying out until 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm partying all night.
Oh, you were partying too?
Oh yeah.
What kind of partying are we doing here?
Just drinking. I had a fake ID. I remember I was 14. I had it was Brian Dabowski, and he was 26, looked nothing like me. Yeah. But I could get it to pass at most gas stations. So we're going out and buying beer every night, and drinking in the woods, and all the stuff you do when you're a teenager.
100%.
Yeah.
So you've mastered the wholesale game. Would you say it's on autopilot?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, in terms of wholesale, we've been doing it over 10 years now. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. And last night we talked, and I was like, "Yo, man, do you own any rentals?" Because I never really hear you talk about it, right? And so I was like, man, if this guy doesn't own any rentals, he's just making tons of money, paying tons of taxes. Then you're like, no, man, I own 86 doors, and we got a mobile home complex. Talk to me a little bit about your real estate investing journey.
Yeah, real estate investing journey. Started broke, busted, and disgusted, and I just wanted to make some cash. Now again we've got 86 doors and 2 mobile home parks.
Okay.
And I've owned a bunch of investments in the oil and gas industry as well. But my real estate investment journey started 10 years ago. Austin, Texas. I moved to Austin with no plan. I grew up in Northern Virginia, but I just wanted to get out of my hometown. So I went to Austin and started, looking for jobs, but I didn't want to take a job, but I was like running out of money. So I'm looking for jobs, and then I'm also trying to start a business, and I'm looking at all these different business opportunities. And on YouTube, I came across real estate wholesaling. So got in, went all in on that. Struck out, did a terrible job in the beginning. Took me 104 face-to-face seller appointments in 11 months before I got my first deal.
Well, you're getting appointments. That's a fucking lot of appointments.
I'm great. I was good at the marketing part of it, but I was terrible I didn't know how to evaluate the properties. I was bad, on the sales aspect of it.
But there's no quit.
There's no quit. Yeah, I mean, because I just got to the point. I was like, dude, if I don't make this real estate investing thing work, then I'm gonna have to answer to a boss the rest of my life. And that was like, the thought of that was like, just shoot me now. I couldn't even handle it. I was like, I gotta be, to me, it was all more about the freedom of being able to do what I want.
Yeah.
And so I took a job at Indeed because I was burning through cash, trying to get this real estate thing up and going. And Indeed, if you guys don't know, it's like where you can go look for jobs online.
It's number one right now, right?
Yep. Huge job search engine. Well, I got a job at inside sales, and I went from almost getting evicted from my apartment. I had like $800 left in my account to getting this job, and I went right to the top of the leaderboard. I went Top Gun, Rookie of the Year, got all the sales awards at that company, and I was making $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. And that's what really, I would say, gave me like the sales ability, because I got really good at inside sales.
Yeah.
And I transferred that over to real estate, and then I used all the money and commissions that I made to fund my real estate business in the beginning. And then eventually I went full time into real estate. I built a big team. I exited the team, and then I moved away, and now I live in Mexico.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's go there for a second. So there's a lot of comparisons. I've been seeing you do it on your stories, like, hey, this is what I miss about the US. This is what I like about Mexico. And I've done videos in Mexico. Like, that was one of our first social media outings. Was I took my team down to Mexico, and I was like, everybody thinks Mexico's a crime-ridden, unsafe place. It's funny enough, asked an Uber driver this same thing a couple months ago in Mexico. I go, why do you think people say that? He goes, because your country doesn't want you to come here and spend money. Makes a lot of sense, because Mexico, you live there right now, and you are in Kansas City. You've been to Phoenix. You've been to all these places. Which place do you feel the most safest in?
Cancun, by far. All the U.S. cities are overrun with crime, drugs, kidnappings, and in Mexico, all they care about is money. They're very economically driven down there. So the only way you're going to end up getting in some sort of situation is if you're dealing drugs. That's really it. Don't go down there and deal drugs.
Yeah,
and you'll be fine.
Somebody else has got that handled.
Exactly. So no, the U.S. has got a lot of problems, and I think that they brainwash us to think we're the best country in the world, and everywhere else is like third world and sketchy.
They totally brainwash us. You just went to a bunch of countries. Can you tell me any of those countries that felt safer than the U.S.?
Australia, Singapore, Japan.
Okay.
Pretty much all of them. I mean, even in Thailand and
I was figured that was the answer.
In Indonesia, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through a lot of those. I haven't been to Australia, but I've been to a lot of the countries. The only country I ever felt that was less safe than the U.S. was South Africa. I definitely felt there was some. When I was in South Africa, they had like all these barbed wire armed guards in nice areas.
Right.
And I could feel
attention.
I could feel like something. You get that spider senses. You've been to Colombia, you've been to other countries. I'm planning on heading to Panama, as you know. I wanted to ask you, you lived in Panama for how long?
Lived in Panama for a year.
Man, you're a young guy. You're 35. You've lived in Miami. You've lived in Austin, Texas, Panama, and now you're Cancun. Is that
correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Panama is where you said your father, your stepfather worked for the CIA.
Correct.
It's my understanding that the CIA runs Panama.
Yeah, well, that and the Chinese.
Tell me about that.
The Chinese run Panama, so the Bank of China has infiltrated that country. They also have big investments in the canal, which the canal is the number one revenue driver of Panama.
Right.
Right. All the stuff you get on Amazon, most of it's coming through the Panama Canal. So, who controls that giant piece of infrastructure controls the region and controls the country. So you just follow the money, and the Chinese have majority stakeholder in that. They just expanded the canal. Guess who funded that project? So.
It's crazy too because we owned it up until like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
or something
we handed it back over.
Yeah, why would we do that?
I don't know. We spent so much money building it that took 7 countries try to build the canal and fail, and then the U.S. finally came down there and made the canal and opened it and controlled it up until the 1980s, and then they turned it back over, I guess, to give Panama its sovereignty. But that is, what allowed Panama to thrive. Now you see that Panamanian skyline, beautiful buildings. So that's how it came to be.
There's got to be something going on in Panama though with like drugs or something.
Big time money laundering headquarters of the world.
That's what struck me. We're getting ready to go down there Cinco de Mayo. Okay, we're leaving on Cinco de Mayo. We're down there. We're trying to go down there and recruit. We're trying to establish a. This is the next subject I want to get into with you. So we're going down there simply to try to recruit remote employees. The U.S. and if you're out there and you're listening, I'm gonna be very candid with you. The U.S. people don't want to work here no more. They want handouts. They're entitled, and if you're going to find top level employees, you're going to find top level employees, but your bottom barrel employees, they'd rather go push a button at Quick Trip or push a button at McDonald's, make their 18 to 20 bucks an hour, which is crazy that you're making that kind of money for it. But really our we're becoming the haves and the have-nots, right? Because nobody wants to work. They don't realize they could hustle and get ahead. They're not willing to put in that effort. Like we just put a job application out for Danny's job. He's going back to the Northeast, and so we need somebody on the ground to run it. And the questions I get are like, well, what, it's like, listen, if you're going to work with work with somebody like you, would you expect that person to buy into you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if they start asking questions like, what can you do for me? Would you hire that person?
No.
No. All right. So it's just so funny. Like people don't recognize the opportunities down there. Now, as you build these new business ventures, where are you setting up your headquarters?
For me, all my stuff is in Austin, Texas. But in hindsight, I would have never built my headquarters in Austin because, again, it's entitled American mentality. You got the highest office rent in the nation.
What are you guys paying for office rent?
We're in an place, and we paid $38 a square foot. But if you want a nice place downtown, you're going to pay $53, $54 a square foot.
Dude, we'll give you a whole floor right here in Kansas.
I know you would.
Yeah, man. Like we could do a gross lease. We'll just take a percentage of profits. You're just locked in, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd be a great tenant.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But you'll have the same problem with the workforce out here. So what I want to do is I want to build it. So. Going to Pakistan, going to Egypt, it's just too long of a flight. Mm-hmm. Going to South America, I love South America. I've never been to Pakistan or Egypt or any of those places, but I don't really feel like it's the culture that I'm really attracted to. Are you going to I saw, several months ago that you were looking for office space down in Cancun. Mm-hmm. What's your plan for, and we had a pretty good conversation last night about private equity. I think it's cool that we're both on that same level. Like you want to go to the top. Like you're not trying to stop until you get to the top, right?
No, that's what I realized a long time ago is to retire is to expire. I tried to, like, I'm to the point that I don't have to work. I could just sit back on the beach.
Yeah.
And I tried to do that. I really did.
Yeah.
I tried to do it, and you feel like people like us, we need purpose. Like, it's our job to go out and create impact. I tried to sit on the beach for 4 months and go to the gym twice a day, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's boring.
It
Like,
is.
what are you doing, dude? Like, I just find myself being a zombie. Like, I'll get on Netflix or I'll get
TikTok.
on TikTok, and it's like I'm not doing self-development. Oh, I want to kind of go all over the place. So you told me on the phone, I think it was one point in time, you hired a personal trainer, Wes Watson. I've been seeing a lot of hate coming that guy's way because of certain things. You've hired him as a personal coach. I don't want you to say anything other than what's been your experience with that gentleman.
I mean, he's done what he says he's going to do. So the thing with Wes Watson is, it's very simple stuff that he teaches you, but it's consistency. So I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, is that they think they need the next technique, or there's that one piece of information that they don't have, and that's why they're not successful.
Right.
No, it's the basics that you're not doing every single day, and you're not consistent in the small things that you already know to do.
Yeah.
Right? The consistency in your diet, your exercise, your work habits. That's the biggest issue most people have, is they don't have any consistency for over a long period of time.
Yeah, I think that's so true. It's just trying to find, and that's why I always tell people with real estate, he's like, you don't got to be a brain surgeon. You just got to be like somewhat consistent. You don't even have to be super consistent. You could take some time off, but as long as you're consistently buying rentals and stuff like that. Do you see yourself opening up a location in Cancun or in Mexico for your businesses, or do you see transitioning that way, or are you going to keep it?
I'll put it to you this way. So I love Latin America. I love the culture. I love the way of life. For me personally, I still think the U.S. is the best for making money.
Yeah.
I love the U.S. for that. Mm-hmm. Like, when I come to the U.S., I get things done quick. I make money. Like, I can run up millions of dollars in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Latin America, to me, there's still a lot of cultural differences that I have. I struggle to like say, okay, I'm going to open an office. Now, it's absolutely possible. I just feel a lot more comfortable in the U.S. making money. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I make dollars and spend pesos. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, it's been hard. So when you went to Panama, what was the goal in Panama?
Just to have a blast in Panama.
Okay, so that was just like, let me go try to relax.
Correct. I lived in Miami, and I was vacationing in Panama, and I was like, man, this is the same vibes as Miami, but a fraction of the price. So I started looking at places there, and I was like, holy shit, you can get some amazing places here.
Let's talk about, what can you get in Panama?
Well, I lived in 11,000 square feet on the 54th story, and I was in the second tallest building in Latin America, right on the ocean. I mean, I had to take a hoverboard to get around my penthouse because it was so big.
I'm feeling bad for you.
And it's less than $1 a square foot. I had 11,000 square feet. I paid $10,500 a month.
That was dope.
Absolutely. On the 54th story. I don't know if you guys can.
Oh, I can just tell you I wouldn't be getting on that deck.
Oh yeah, you look down. If you got vertigo, you would definitely not do well out there.
Yeah, man, I know. Like 54 floors is high.
Yeah, right on the ocean.
Is that the top floor in that building?
No, 63. So I was up there.
All right, so you're slumming it.
I was slumming it. Yeah. So it was.
That's the whole floor. Is that the whole floor plate?
Full floor penthouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was 11,000 square feet. I lived in 2,000 square feet of it.
Like, what's the other side look like?
I'm losing the dogs, losing the girlfriend. We're yelling, trying to find each other all the time.
That's cool. So, okay, with that being said, making money, now you're about ready to have your first daughter. Mm-hmm. Do you see you raising your child here in the United States or Mexico or in a combination?
I'm going to go wherever God calls me to go.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. So like, I'm just I'm just going to abide by what God wants me to do. Right now, the baby's being born in Mexico because if you have a baby in Mexico, you can get dual citizenship.
Right.
So the baby will have dual citizenship, and then so will I. So I'll be Mexican.
Which means you could own real estate on the water out there and stuff like that.
I can buy real estate. I can get loans. Here's the thing. You always want to have 2 passports.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what happened during COVID. You remember they restricted travel to Europe if you had an American passport? Well, guess what? If you have a different passport, you don't have to be subjected just to one country's laws. So it's good to have 2 passports.
Where do you get all your information from? Because you're pretty well read and well educated on a lot of these questions that I would ask normal people that they wouldn't have an answer to, like the fact that you knew when Panama, like this, like, the other thing on your stories, I like them because I'm a very curious guy, and you like take the curiosity, like, hey guys, I'm down here. This is what this is. I like that. People who tell the story, like, hey, it's not just a picture of this stupid skyline. Like, hey, we're down here in the busiest area of Tokyo. If you're claustrophobic right now, you do not want. You painted the whole picture of what was going on there. And I really think that's great that you do that. But like, when you say I'm gonna go to wherever God calls me, I want to talk about that a little bit more because it feels like to me 2 things. First thing is, a lot of people that I don't trust are using God these days, and I don't know if you've seen this on social media, okay? Where I don't believe they're being authentic. Right. They're using it to connect with people and to build fake trust.
Exactly.
And I've seen this with guys who I believe are con men, okay? And when I hear it from you, I obviously don't think that. So where did your relationship come to with God? Because you and how does that look like? Are you like saying prayers every day, or what does that look like? What's your relationship with God?
Yeah, I mean, it's a relationship, right? Like, I'm not big. Like, I live in Latin America. All the churches down there are all in Spanish, so I don't like go to church every Sunday. But to me, it's just a deep relationship with God, who I believe is Jesus Christ, and he's opened up a lot of doors for me. So I didn't come from a religious background.
Right.
I kind of found God on my own through the adversities and struggles of, my adolescence. Things that, should have put me in like jail or, killed me. God delivered me from a lot of situations, opened a lot of doors, showed a lot of favor in my life. And that's what, I attribute a lot of my success to, because I couldn't do this on my own. I'm a 10th grade dropout. He's been able to open up doors where I can't. Like, there's no, I don't want to get too deep into it, but
you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, putting God number 1 in my my life and my journey has been the reason I've been able to succeed. Firm believer in that. Like, I can't sit here and claim credit for all the amazing things that happened to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that there's power in prayer, and as I get older, I think as you get older, so I grew up the opposite. I grew up not me being hyper religious, but my mom.
Gotcha. So you had it beaten down onto you.
Yeah, and so I just kind of didn't like that.
Right.
Entrepreneurs don't want to be told what to do with anything.
Correct.
And so that kind of left a little bit of a nothing. But as I get older and you realize you start having a family, you're like, okay. And you start hearing things and you start having these conversations. What I've tried to do is because I talk to a couple of my friends who I respect, guys like you, and I'm like, and they say the same thing. And I'm like, okay, what's that? Do you have like a conversation? And one of the guys I know out here locally owns a bunch of gyms. He's like, yeah, I actually... he's like, do you want me to pray? I was like, yeah, let's hear it out loud. I want to hear what you're talking. He's like, I just make a bunch of requests.
That's it.
And I was like, well, that sounds like a good situation right there. You're just putting out what you want.
Correct. Yeah, and God provides. I sit there and have a conversation. Like, he understands, you better than you understand yourself. So you don't have to fake it. You don't have to like, have some like, have some poetic hymn that you say, and it's just have a normal conversation, just like you're talking to, a mentor.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. It's like a mentor, somebody, and people who, like, as I grew up younger, I was, I would say agnostic would be the word I would describe myself in. And as you get older, I think that you got to have faith in yourself, and where are you going to get that if you don't have it?
I just been through enough crazy shit that there's no denying it in my life. Like, I didn't come from a religious background. I found it through, trials and tribulations and adversity that I've been through, and the higher God brings me, the more real it becomes, every single day.
So what is the next, where do you see this year going? The baby's due in August.
Correct.
So you're planning on going back to Mexico until that happens, or?
I always say that. I always say, hey, after this trip, I'm not going anywhere. But then, things will come up and I have to go again. So I do travel quite a bit, but I'm going to try to take it easy this summer. So where do I see the rest of this year is I've got some other business ventures that I'm really excited about.
You want to talk about those?
No.
Okay. You're more than welcome not to. Yeah. You're more than welcome to.
Yeah. So, but I've got some really exciting business ventures that I'm working on outside of wholesaling. So excited for that. My wholesaling company continues to grow. So that is always a work in progress. We're always growing and working on increasing our net profit margins and becoming 1% better every single day.
And how do you guys do that? Like, how do you guys measure your growth, and how do you guys, like, from afar, right? Like, you have a COO and you're in the owner's box and you're working with this individual. You have extreme trust in this individual. It's somebody that you've been working with. This is Brandon, right?
Correct.
And, what are your guys' conversations throughout the week so that you guys can continue to make that business more profitable?
Well, we run everything on a company scorecard, so I know all the numbers every single week. I can manage my business right from one Google sheet. I know exactly what's going on.
So it's on a Google sheet, the company's scorecard, and what are you guys measuring?
Well, the most important things when you're running a wholesale business is going to be your average deal size, your how many leads it takes you to get a contract,
okay,
what's your cost per lead. And then, for us, I'm going to simplify this very easily for you guys. Forget all that shit. The only thing that matters is your net profit at the end of the day, right? So what makes up net profit? You've got gross revenue that comes in,
right,
and then your expenses that come out. Your expenses in a wholesaling business only come from 3 buckets. You spend money on either marketing, payroll, or G&A, which stands for general and administrative expenses. That's all the other stuff, like office rent and subscriptions and softwares, etc. So you want to make sure that your payroll never exceeds 25%, your marketing never exceeds 25%, and your general and administrative expenses never exceed 15%. So that's 65% expenses maximum, which leaves you with a 35% net profit as a company, right? And if you're going over in one of those buckets, you need to figure out why. And so we're always, looking at, driving net profit.
So, okay, so you guys are running mainly PPC. That's your expertise. Okay, so let's talk about your ad schedule. So what kind of ads are you running? Are you running video ads? Are you running, like, what do those ads look like?
Yeah, I mean, Google Ads allows you to run a bunch of different style of campaigns. The most common one being search campaigns.
Okay.
That's where somebody will search, sell my house fast on Google, and then your website will pop up and they'll click on it. That's a search campaign. So we run those, but a lot of people don't know there's a lot of other campaign types. The only ones that really matter for our business is going to be Performance Max, Demand Gen, and YouTube campaigns. Google owns YouTube, so we run YouTube. on there, but then we also run performance max and demand gen, which I won't get into the weeds in it. You guys can go.
Yeah, I want to like just.
I won't go super nerdy with you.
I'll get nerd out because I don't even know what the hell it is, and I want to know. I don't plan on doing anything with it, but I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, what it does is it allows you to run your ads in front of specific audiences. So Google knows more about you than you know about you.
For sure. Every picture you zoomed in on.
Exactly. Every website you've ever visited, it's got the audio on your mic. It's constantly it's listening to this podcast right now. And so they've got at least 1,700 data points on every single individual. A lot more than on some people. So you can target people based on, whatever. So for instance, if I'm trying to get in front of, motivated sellers, I can literally go on there and say, I want to get in front of homeowners that are moving soon. And Google knows if you're moving soon. It knows if you've been on uhaul.com or Zillow.com. It knows if you've been talking to your wife about, moving. If you've been saying moving. Have you ever seen, like, if we could sit here and we could say, like a random word. We could say dog food, dog food,
yeah.
dog. And if you open your phone, you're going to start seeing ads for dog food pop up.
Yeah, that's the part I want to go down a deep rabbit hole. So they talk about politics and all this jazz right now, and like, hey, the border, this, that, and the other thing, which was all just these bullshit talking points. The real commodity that's being sold is the American people. Our information, our privacy. You just said Google's got 1,700 ad points. Between Mark Zuckerberg and Larry and Sergey, I mean, these guys have donated so much money to these, both the Republican and the Democratic Party. And my biggest worry is that, like, even in incognito mode, I know Google just got a hit for incognito's not really incognito. Like,
right.
Whatever you put out there is still there.
It's out there, yeah.
Yeah. So if you were putting everything in incognito and searching for something you shouldn't have been, just know that they know. And if you didn't know before you did that, they already knew. So with the privacy, do you believe that the United States legislature needs to get involved and say, hey, guys, you can't just get people's free stuff?
Yeah, data is the new oil, right?
Yeah.
And you know what the golden rule is, right?
Yeah.
He who has the gold makes the rules.
Yeah.
So, I see we live in a capitalistic society. The ones that have the most money are the ones that are in charge. So if you sit here and you think that, the government runs the United States, you're sorely mistaken.
Yeah.
It's whoever's got the most money gets to call the shots. Well, who's got the most money? Big tech, Google, Facebook, Amazon, right? Those are your big
pharma.
Big pharma. These are the guys that are calling the shots in Washington. You think Joe Biden, sleepy Joe Biden, is running the country out there? The guy can't barely even, tie his own shoes.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. It's so fun. I don't give a shit who you're, Republican, Democrat, whatever. Don't like Donald Trump, do like Donald Trump, do like Joe Biden, don't give a shit about Joe Biden. I don't give a crap where you're at. But if anybody can stand up and say that guy is running the country when he can't even, like, he gets off stage, he doesn't know which way's left, which way's right. Like, he's talking about people that have been dead for 20 years, that he just had a conversation with them yesterday, all these things. And it's embarrassing. It's just flat out embarrassing. At least
it's all a joke. It's bullshit. He's just obviously just a figurehead, and it's always been that way. At least, before they had, better people, that it was halfway believable that they were actually running the country.
So it's the deep state that's running the country.
Yeah. And the deep state is, whoever is willing to pay the most amount of money, right? Your lobbying is why, like, in all the other countries, it's just corruption. It's called bribery in other countries. In the United States, it's called lobbying.
Yeah, it's all about semantics, right? Like,
correct.
How you say things.
Yes.
It's not called extortion. It's called influence.
That's right.
Yeah. So, that's crazy. So in Mexico, Let's talk about the business structure. Like, I've been looking into moving to Mexico. My goal, and I say every time I say this, it's sad for me to say this, but I don't know if we're heading in the right direction. And I think other countries, as this digital revolution, because we had the Industrial Revolution, we had but I believe this is a revolution, right?
More is going to change in the next 5 to 15 years than has in the last 200 years combined.
Because of AI.
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so now I believe you're not looking to say, hey, should I move to Kansas City or should I move to Austin? You're looking and saying, what country, what jurisdiction offers me the best for my dollar? Why would I want to bring my wholesaling business, my whatever business, to your country? And when we talk about that, have you ever been sued before?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so you know about jurisdiction, right?
Right.
Jurisdiction means who's got authority, right? Well, if I got an islands trust, a Cook Islands trust, whatever it is, any sort of offshore banking, and I get throttled by the U.S. government, they don't have jurisdictions to seize my assets.
Correct.
And so when you look at other countries, the best ones to do business in, have you looked at like what doing business full time in Mexico looks like?
I have, but that's why I have Panamanian trust. You know? Yeah, because if you want to sue or come after any assets in a Panamanian trust, you have to subpoena the Supreme Court of Panama, and even if they do answer, it takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years to even get an answer, and then good luck at that point. So there's a lot of countries that are more or less cooperative to work, especially if you have trust in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, yes, to do business in Latin America, here's the thing. I love to do business down there because the dollar goes so much further. Like, I could get a lot cheaper office rent and a lot cheaper labor down there, but there is legitimate safety concerns with cartel, and if you open up a place there, they will come, and if they will extort you, and then if you don't pay, they'll kidnap you, your family, and your employees.
Okay. So once they realize that you're a big swinging whatever and you've got some money, then they come a knocking.
Exactly.
So do they come a knocking no matter who you are?
No, I mean, if you keep a low profile and they don't really know like what's going on, but if you're out there on Instagram and they see you driving around in a nice car pulling up to an office and there's a lot of commotion, you're going to attract attention to yourself. So can you get away with it and fly under the radar? Absolutely. But I don't want to have to feel like I got to sneak around everywhere to.
No, that's not a good way to live.
Correct.
Yeah. So doing this world tour, doing the state tour, I'm sure you look at things similar to me. I would think that you just kind of size up every city and say hey, could I live here? Would I want to live here?
Correct.
Out of all these cities that you travel to, which one throughout the world, throughout the country, in the United States, would you say, hey man, this is the place I really feel the most at home at?
Most at home? Mexico right now. But I'm like that Metallica song, wherever I roam, where I lay my head is home. Okay. Right? So
I love that song.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it's I don't really care. Like, I like to, as long as I'm getting shit done, I feel like my life is moving in the right direction. The place to me is, I'm indifferent. Now, I love the fucking beach. I like to be in Mexico. I like being right on the water. My whole life I lived in the Northeast and Northern Virginia. Mm-hmm. And that was if I made it to palm trees and tropical ocean, I knew I made it.
Yeah.
So, that's a good feeling to be there. But top cities for me, if Dubai wasn't so far, I would 100% be in Dubai.
Have you been there?
Yes.
What do you like about it?
Everything is the best in Dubai.
Yeah.
So, obviously it's a tax-free, business-friendly environment, mm-hmm. but on top of that, you have, the best infrastructure, the best buildings, the best scenery, the best restaurants. There's more wealth concentrated in Dubai than probably most anywhere now, and it's the safest place I've ever been. Like, you could literally leave a Rolex and a stack of $100,000 bills on a table in the middle of a busy restaurant. Come back 3 hours later, it'll still be sitting there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The streets everything's so clean. The streets you can eat off the streets out there. And people are extremely friendly and safe. It's extremely safe because if you say you steal a Snickers bar in Dubai, you get exiled from Dubai. You can never come back. So people don't mess around out there because they don't want to be exiled from the city.
Yeah, so there's something to be strict with your laws.
Exactly. Now look at all these places here in the U.S., decriminalizing, and it's falling apart. It's like, real life Grand Theft Auto in a lot of the U.S. cities. And like, who would want to raise their family or start their business? I just got back from San Francisco. Whole Foods, Target, Forever 21, all the big retail, they're gone. Yeah. And they had some of the best real estate, prime real estate in like San Francisco. They can't do it anymore because it's legal to steal in San Francisco now. Up to $900 is a civil matter.
Oh.
So you can go into CVS or wherever and just load up a trash bag full of whatever you want, walk out, and people made a living on this. That's why the retailers are gone. They would go into Target, Forever 21, load up a bunch of stuff, and then they would go sell it to a fence. A fence is somebody that buys that, gives them the thief their money, and then they put it online for sale. And that's a whole economy, and it's destroying.
Why do you think they're doing that? Why do you
liberal politics?
I know, but like, okay, there's got to be a better reason. Like, I've heard because they can't get money out of the criminals and they get money out of the white collar guys. So they're not going after the criminals anymore. They're making everything a white collar crime.
Mm-hmm. You could theorize a million different ways, but I could tell you that a lot of it just seems like mental illness. When you look at all the leftist politics, you got little boys chopping their peckers off now and getting they're getting pushed at in school, and a lot of the stuff that's coming out. That's the reason I moved out of the United States, just because of the lies, corruption, and deception, that are right in your face. I'm like, I don't want to be around this. I don't want to raise a family in this kind of environment. After the 2020 election was stolen, that was my last final straw. I just rolled out.
So you believe it was stolen?
100%. Yeah. Got to be an idiot to it's facts. So you just got to look at it on paper. Yeah, it's it's all corruption out there. And I lost faith in our democracy after that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to see the fact. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And you grow up and you're thinking like, oh, the land of the home, salute it, land of the free, home of the brave. And then you're like, wait. Like when bad stuff in business happens to you for no reason, then you realize there's an attorney against you that's representing somebody that didn't do something, but then they can sue you for this and that and the other thing. You're like, okay.
Well, it happens on the smallest level, and it goes all the way up. So, I really started understanding, government corruption in the United States through real estate. We were doing some projects in Houston, and we're having a lot of trouble with the permitting. Well, you know what? Found out if you donate $2,500 to this campaign for this one guy, you end up getting your permits approved right away.
Wow, amazing.
Right? And then I start seeing, this happen at different levels. This happens, these kind of lobbying and corruption happens from the local city level all the way up to the federal, all the way up to the president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Final question. I know we're running out of time here, but I wanted to give you a little bit of props. I saw you hitting the gym the other day, and you put some weight up, bro. What are you? I mean, what are you putting up? I mean, you're not how much you weigh?
Like 185.
And what are you repping? What are you benching?
like max bench.
Yeah.
Most I've ever done was 435.
That's insanity.
I could put up 405 right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
That's insanity. So where do you think you get that strength from?
I've been lifting since I was 12 years old.
So just consistency, staying after it. And,
Correct.
And just getting stronger and stronger. 405 is a lot of weight to push for a 185-pound dude.
Hey, it's all about just getting a little bit better every single day. And like you said, consistency. People can't see what, will happen if you just get 1% better every day, the compounding effect of that. And so I've been lifting for 25 years now.
And just to wrap things up, what's your day look like when you're not on a whirlwind tour around, 10 different countries, however many states? When Nick Perry's at home in Cancun, what's the perfect day look like?
Sleep until whenever I want, roll out of bed. Breakfast is sitting there served for me because I got live-ins and chefs, and I'll sit out on the balcony and I have breakfast, go downstairs, do a little cardio, hit the sauna and the cold plunge, and then go head out to the beach and relax on the beach for the afternoon, hit the gym in the evening, and that's call it a day.
I love that. I didn't hear working there once.
Yeah, I'm always working.
Yeah.
If you got the cell phone, you're always working.
That's true. Well, I appreciate you coming to the mastermind. I know that a lot of people are really, really pumped to hear you speak. You've got a massive amount of wisdom, and I think that you have a really positive outlook about the world. And I think that one more thing that we had in common is that, like, I just, before I didn't get to know you, you're just like, okay, he's growing a wholesaling business. And then I see that you're trying to go exactly where I'm trying to go, which is all the way to the top.
That's it. I'll say this, closing out is I realize, through trying to retire, it's very boring. And when you get to the end of the road, you want to feel like you gave it 110%.
Right.
Like you maxed out your life in every department. You win everywhere, you did everything, you created the most impact.
Yes.
And you get to the end of the road, you're like, man, that was an awesome adventure, and I gave it 110%. Yeah, that's a full life.
Yeah, 100%. You don't get to do it over again, folks.
Nope.
And Nick Perry is living proof. I appreciate you coming in super early, 4 a.m. It's 7:30 on a Friday, kicking off a weekend. Couldn't have a better person in as a guest for the first podcast, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Troy. I appreciate it.
All right. Peace, guys. Did you ever want to invest in real estate? Did you ever want to live the life of your dreams? Did you want financial freedom? We have a free Facebook group, the Millionaire Mentorship Facebook group for real estate investing. The link is in the description. If you want to schedule a free call with me and my team and you actually want to start, I would suggest you do so. We have helped hundreds of people change their lives, and all they had to do was get started. They booked a call with me and my team, and they got the ball rolling. Make sure you give this podcast a 5-star review, share it with a friend, and take action.